Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and this is the show where we talk about the things that we love, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all that good stuff. I'm always thrilled on Thursdays to be joined by 3C Films himself. Chris Parker's here. Chris, how you doing, sir?
Hey, very happy to be here, John, and we got some juicy stuff to talk about, particularly a mutant casting.
Yes, which kind of came out of nowhere. Also joining us, of course, from his man cave all the way out in Burbank, our technical producer, Jonathan Voico's here.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in.
And, of course, most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show is the most important part. That's when we take your live comments and questions. If you guys have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or an issue you'd like me to address, go ahead and use the super chat feature in the live chat to send it in. And as long as it's appropriate to be addressed on the show, I will answer those questions in the second part of the show. And of course, you have to be watching live in order to use the super chat feature. So if you're watching this a little later in the day, sorry, you can't send in a question. All right. I was just telling the guys, going off to see The Purge of sex movies tonight. Gonna go see One Night Only tonight. Not really looking like my cup of tea, but Anne thinks it looks really good. So I'm going to go give it a shot. I keep your eyes open later tonight, guys, for when I put my out of theater review.
I'd be interested.
You got to tell me, how do they enforce it? Like, what's the punishment?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to know,
you?
Chris. Chris, you don't want to know.
That's when the Purge crossover actually happens.
Yeah.
All right, guys. With all that down, let's get things kicked off here, shall we? And we are going to start off with this. You guys might remember, but you'd be forgiven if you forgot, that about a year or so ago, some reports came out that Warner Brothers may be looking at doing a live-action Jetsons movie. And at the time, the name that they floated around out there was Good Canadian Kid and one of the greatest guys to ever do it on screen, Jim Carrey. Well, that seemed to blow away like a fart in the wind, as it's never been mentioned or brought up or, discussed ever since. So a lot of people just kind of thought, I think actually somebody even sent in a question on the show about 4 or 5 months ago. And I think I said, I think that project's probably dead. We haven't heard anything from it. Well, reports of its demise apparently have been greatly exaggerated. Because
little Mark Twain there.
Yeah, like a little Mark Twain for you today. Because according to stories now, in an investor's memo that went out from Warner Brothers has confirmed that the Jetsons movie, apparently still with Jim Carrey, is in development. And they are indeed moving forward with a live action Jetsons movie, again with the great Good Canadian Kid, Jim Carrey. I have thoughts. First of all, I have some questions about this, because recently we've been seeing that legacy IP has not been performing great, unless it's a legacy IP that's maintained its status like every 5-10 years, doing something new to keep up with things. That can happen. Who has ever watched the Jetsons? I mean, the Jetsons was even before my time. I mean, I would watch reruns of it as a kid.
Same.
And that was the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but there's never been a Jetsons this, a Jetsons that, anything. The other thing about it is, I mean, all due respect to this wonderful picture of Jim Carrey. Is that from Eternal Sunshine, that picture?
That one I think is from when he's in the Truman Show.
The Truman Show, okay. So, all due respect, Jim Carrey is 64 years old.
Come on now.
I mean,
watch it.
I still think there is a place for Jim Carrey in Hollywood and wonderful things for him to do. But George Jetson has like a 7-year-old son. I don't know what was the name of George's boss. Like, I think the name of the company was Spacely Sprockets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sprockets, yeah.
Was that his boss?
I don't remember his first name.
The Flintstones one was Mr. Slate. I'll never forget that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, maybe he could play that. And I say this as a guy who loves and adores my countryman, Jim Carrey. I adore Jim Carrey. But him playing George Jetson at this point, 15, 20 years ago, perfect. So I have questions about whether or not anybody even has any interest in this movie. But I also have to ask, even if there was some interest, is George Jetson the right role or is Jim Carrey the right guy for George Jetson at this point? And I think he might be a little bit aged out. Oh, some people say in the live chat, the name is Mr. Peabody. Was that it? Was that his actual name? I just know the name of the company was Spacely Sprockets. That's all I remember. So I'm trying to find a positive way of looking at this, but I can't find one. Like I can't see how, if I'm in a Warner Brothers boardroom and it comes around to me and says, John, give all the pros about doing a project like this, I got nothing. Like I'm not really sure. Now, if they go ahead and make it, I hope it turns out great and I will be there cheering it on. But right now, I just can't honestly say that I think this is a good idea. Anyway, Chris, you heard about this. Like me, you only ever watched this from some reruns.
Yeah.
So
very light
two
reruns.
different questions, I guess. What do you think about the idea of doing a Jetsons live action movie in general? And then what would you think about Jim Carrey, an all-time great, but how would you feel about Jim Carrey playing George Jetson?
No, I think all your concerns are like very valid in terms of the aging of the IP. I mean, the biggest example is just what happened with Masters of the Universe. But this is in one of those situations where, hey, good luck on the business side of it, but it's something I would love to see. This is a interesting casting choice where I think any time within the last 4, maybe 3 decades, you could have said this headline of Jim Carrey, George Jetson, and it just made sense in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now here we are in 2020s. And I am fine with it. Yes, he's a little older, more wrinkled up, but they're going to give him that Conan O'Brien orange hair. They're going to do all this craziness, and it'll be a heightened world. And I'm fine for it in that aspect. To me, this movie sells more just on Jim Carrey. Then again, I don't even know what his stock is to the general masses. As people like us, grew up and admire a lot of Jim Carrey comedy. I don't know how much younger generation also values that. The only thing we really have to paint towards is the Sonic movies, but a whole lot of other things with that. So to me, I want this, but I agree with you. I think it's a long battle in terms of how many people go to see it and watch it. But I also grew up with that Flintstones movie, and I just still enjoy that one. For all the practical and crazy sets they built for that. I know they won't do that for this, but I just for the fun of it, I want this movie. I need this movie, John.
But to John's point, though, that Flintstones movie was 1994. So that's going back, and that was a lot closer
32 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so what about this as a notion, though? What about the idea of aging up the Jetsons? What if Elroy is now 20? What if his older sister is 30? And somebody just put in the live chat there. I pulled it up, but like get a Julianne Moore as Jane, as his wife, and taking a little bit of a different approach to it. I'm just gonna have a hard time. I'm just gonna have a hard time if they have a 5-year-old Elroy and Samara Weaving as Jane.
Yeah, that is.
And then Jim Carrey as George. That's just gonna be a little bit hard to wrap my head around. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? They're talking about Warner Brothers looks like they are absolutely still committed to developing and making a live action Jetsons movie. And from what it looks like, Jim Carrey is still the guy to play George. I want to love this, but I have my doubts, to be honest. But whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, I mean, Spider-Man,
Mhm.
it's getting boring at this point. Oh, biggest
Yeah.
opening night in history. Oh, biggest
Yeah.
opening weekend in history. Oh, biggest Monday in history. Oh, biggest Tuesday in history. Oh, it's the biggest film of the year after only 7 days. Yada, yada, yada. But you know what? An interesting question came up on the show the other day where some people have been asking a question of, do I think that Spider-Man Brand New Day could catch and beat Star Wars The Force Awakens as the highest grossing domestic film in history? Now, I've said before that I kind of thought that the opening weekend box office record that was held by Avengers Endgame, that could be a record that never would be beaten. Like, I don't know if I ever said that out loud, but in my head, at least, I thought that might be a record that never falls. And along comes Spider-Man and it falls.
Oh.
Even Avengers Endgame never caught the Force Awakens domestic box office. It's at $900+ million. And I kind of thought as well, that might be a record that also never gets broken. But as you're looking at Spider-Man Brand New Day, again, biggest opening day ever, biggest opening weekend ever, biggest Monday at the box office in history, biggest Tuesday at the box office history. I'm not sure how Wednesday turned out yet. I haven't seen those numbers. I'm sure it's going to be right up there, if not also record setting. But as of right now, Spider-Man Brand New Day is indeed on pace to beat out Star Wars The Force Awakens to become the highest grossing of all time. If we take a look at some data here, as of right now, Spider-Man's opening weekend was $360.1 million. That's way above The Force Awakens 248 opening weekend. That's like 112 million more than The Force Awakens was. After 5 days, Spider-Man Brand New Day is sitting at 449.2. That's 124 million ahead of The Force Awakens pace. So The Force Awakens record is $936.7 million. That's the all-time record. Spider-Man Brand New Day, at least as of earlier this morning, still has to do 487.5 million to catch up and get it, meaning it needs a 2.6 times multiplier of its opening weekend. Star Wars The Force Awakens, I believe, had a 3.4 multiplier, which is absolutely huge. But is it on pace? Well, right now, I got to say the current outlook is yes. As of today, August 6th, Spider-Man Brand New Day is currently on pace to beat Star Wars The Force Awakens and become the biggest domestic box office film of all time. The current industry estimates for it right now is that it's going to hit anywhere between 950 million, which even on the low end is good enough to beat Star Wars, up to 1.03 billion, making it the first and only ever film to make $1 billion domestically. And so it's getting there. A lot will depend on its second weekend. If it can make over 150 million, it's clearly on pace to do it. If it makes under 135 million second weekend, it becomes a little less certain. So on pace, yeah, this movie is easily on pace to overtake Star Wars. There are, however, a couple of factors working against it. Number one is that, and we bring this up and talk about this on the show quite often, every year that passes, this is a statistical truth. Every year that passes, movies become more front-end loaded. What that means is that the audience behavioral patterns has been to see movies earlier and earlier. So you don't see movies. I mean, we absolutely still get movies with great legs. Obsession is a great example of that, but it does not happen as often as it did 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 15 years ago. So the front end heavy, big success of Spider-Man right now is great, but will it maintain that kind of pace? That's questionable. The second thing that's working against it right now is that school is going to be going, while there's not a lot of competition at the moment, I mean, all due respect to One Night Only, but, you know, there's not a lot of competition for Spider-Man right now, but school's coming back into session pretty soon, in a couple of weeks. And that will exponentially slow down its momentum. Plus, you know, we brought this up on the show yesterday, guys, is the fact that I already know people who've seen this movie 4 times. There are a lot of people who write in our live chat mentioned they've already seen it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Are they going to see it a fifth, sixth, and seventh time? I mean, to maintain that pace. Look, do I think ultimately, bottom line, do I think Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to beat the Star Wars record? I think it's a coin toss right now. I honestly think it's a 50-50 coin toss. Ask me again after the second weekend is done. So right now I see it as a coin toss, but it's definitely on pace to do it. And at the very minimum, it has the chance to do something again that I thought kind of somewhere in the back of my head might be one of those records that never falls. Like Wayne Gretzky's all-time point record. Like that's never getting beat. So I mean, I thought maybe this would be it, and maybe it can be beat. Chris, you've seen the numbers, you've seen the tracking and the pacing. It's a little bit of a different culture right now than when The Force Awakens came out. Still, it's pacing a good 100+ million in front of The Force Awakens right now. What do you think are the chances of Spider-Man Brand New Day actually beating Star Wars and becoming the highest grossing domestic film in history?
No, it's like it's a coin toss, because you said there's a lot of things going against it with school coming up, but there are like a couple things in its favor. Like I think this week they're finally going to be able to have IMAX screens. I think that is going to give it a small bump.
Some of them.
Yeah, some of them. Yeah, some of them. Things like that. And for all we know, also when going back to school, there is that word of mouth that gets to continue on and draw more people who haven't seen it yet. But again, that's just reaching it here. It is definitely gonna have a big slowdown. I think it's gonna be more interesting to see in the coming weeks how that percentage falls week to week, and that will give us a much better idea. But I it's possible. I think it's very possible.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Spider-Man Brand New Day is like shattering a different record every single day. Can it get to that all-time biggest domestic number? It's on pace to do it. Can it maintain that crazy pace? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? I have to make an admission. I've never seen How to Catch a Predator.
Oh,
but I do know it was a wildly popular show. I know it was wildly successful and wildly popular. I also know this. All those people that laughed and did the Twilight Boy thing when Robert Pattinson was cast as Batman, nobody says that anymore. Everybody's finally clued into just how good Robert Pattinson is and how much people want him and stuff. And this has been an extremely busy year for Robert Pattinson.
Yes.
Like he's been in like 5 or 6 different things. And now there's a new one of his coming out here called Primetime, which is Robert Pattinson suiting up to catch a predator as he plays host Chris Hansen in the A24 crime thriller. And you know what? This is one that has been completely off my radar. This has not been on my radar whatsoever. Somebody's saying in the live chat, now he's going to be How to Catch a Predator, boy. Yep, that's probably what it's going to be. But a new trailer dropped for this. And again, I understand the basic premise of How to Catch a Predator, but I never watched it. So, I don't have a lot of experience with it. So I can't say, as I watched the trailer, boy, this feels really true to life the way this worked out. So I can't say that. I can just comment on it as a pure, clean slate viewer. And all I know is this, man, this looks thrilling. This looks thrilling. And I don't know how true to life this is. They say it's, based on a true story and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know how
loosely
close.
based.
Maybe loosely based. I don't know one way or the other. I don't care. I care about watching good, entertaining movies. And even if you took out the fact that this is based on a true story, this is based on How to Catch a Predator or To Catch a Predator, all that kind of stuff, I would just look at this, even had nothing to do with reality. Just look at this. This looks like a really cool movie. And yet another big platform for Robert Pattinson to show off his stuff. And because the moment I started this trailer, I was hooked on it. I'm not going to sit here and say I think this is the best trailer of the year or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but it's a thrilling trailer.
Yeah.
Like it really is. So anyway, Chris, you had a chance to see this trailer. I'm sure you have To Catch a Predator seasons 1 through 25 on Blu-ray at home.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What did you think about this trailer?
John, I implore you. I think most of the episodes are on YouTube. Watch one, and it is an addicting watch. I mean, even in
That's
the
what
trailer,
people
they said
say.
it is addicting. I don't know what it is about that, but yeah, I went through a
So
summer
cringy.
phase. It is. It's just, I guess, watching dirty people get caught is just so
Yeah.
addicting. But that aside from that, I've always heard behind the scenes there were interesting things that went on with the making of the show and how it got canceled and things like that. And I think the movie is going to be tackling some of that stuff. But to me, the most exciting part is just Robert Pattinson. This is one of those movies that you don't even know is happening until they drop the trailer, and then it's instantly on my most anticipated list because of everything it has. And Robert Pattinson is just proving again he is an A-list actor. His
Yeah.
voice and the way, maybe because again I watch so much and I know Chris Hansen's mannerisms, the way he talks. Robert Pattinson is nailing down. And it's kind of scary the way he can just chameleon his voice to things like it. So it's cool. My only fear is it's a very stylized, and I love the style. I hope there's enough substance in the story, and it's not all just style, because it is a great looking trailer, but I don't want it to just be a bunch of cool flashy stuff the whole time. I really hope the story is as captivating as the trailer's pointing out to be.
To your point, while A24 makes some amazing movies,
Mm-hmm.
they have also been guilty of making a few movies here and there every once in a while that are all style over substance. Like they have some that I've watched. I'm going, what the actual F am I watching? Like I have, what was that one they did? What was it called? Sheep or something like that.
I know which one you're talking about.
Oh, I'm trying to remember the name. I remember watching that. And
Was it Lamb? You might be right.
Might be Lamb. I think Lamb was it. And then that one they did, I think was Ghost.
Yes. It was.
They every once in a while they'll do these movies that is all art. Like, look how artistic this is, but it doesn't like I love the way you put it, Chris, but it doesn't actually have a lot of that substance.
Yeah.
But then they put out some of the best movies I've seen in years, right?
Yeah.
And so I think this is going to be the latter. But you know what, John, I want to ask you this, Jonathan, because you are in a position that I am not. I remember, when, what was the name of the Zendaya show? Euphoria. When Euphoria first came out, and it was like halfway through its first season, I remember Rob, because he had teenage girls in his house, and Rob saying, listen, it's a great show, but as somebody who has teenage girls in the house, it's really hard to watch. It's really hard to watch. And I ask this as somebody who has never watched the show, but does watching, like somebody who has kids, especially still in the house, Jonathan, does watching something like like Catching a Predator or whatever, is that make it more difficult to watch a show like that? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know that it makes it more difficult, because I mean, I remember watching that before I was even even married. I think that's how long ago it started coming out. It was always just like, these guys they're trash. And I think what makes it worse is you watch something like that, you understand it's real, but then I actually get real like conversations of my girls at work, and like, oh yeah, this like 40-something-year-old guy came over and kept flirting with me, and not just flirting, but like wouldn't stop staring at them, kept following them around. And I'm like, that's when it's like, man, these guys really are out there. It's awful. But so that's awful. But to the movie, I feel like this is like it's like To Catch a Predator meets American Psycho. It's a very stylized version of that.
Yeah.
This is an A24 version of Chris Hansen. I don't know if he is quite as dramatic as Robert Pattinson is in this movie.
I agree.
But I think we're gonna watch it and realize this is more like a take, like a network kind of take on the industry or something like that. I just can't imagine that this is that true to form. I mean, like Chris Hansen staring at himself in a broken mirror in real life.
Yeah.
but I think it looks cool. Yeah. I'm here for it.
All I know is that whenever I've seen Chris Hansen in any video, he's wearing a black leather jacket. I was just like, where's the black leather jacket, Robert Pattinson? Exactly. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Did you see the new trailer for Robert Pattinson's Primetime based on To Catch a Predator? If so, what did you think about it? I don't know anything about the real life story, but I think the trailer for a movie looks great. Anyway, whatever you guys think about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, since we got Chris here, we thought this would be a great opportunity for us to play ourselves a little game of overreaction. The way overreaction works is really quite simple. We asked you guys on the YouTube channel to send in your hottest of hot takes, and we would gather some of them up. Jonathan's got them there, and we are going to adjudicate whether your hot take is an overreaction or not an overreaction. So, Jonathan, what do we got up first?
All right, Chris, you're a veteran now of this
Oh,
show
all right.
in these games, so we're going to start with you. Is this an overreaction? We're going to hear from Super Smart 1256. By the end of the year, we will have $7 billion films in total, adding Odyssey, Doomsday, and Jumanji.
Oh man, $7 billion films. I think that might be an overreaction. I could see it with Jumanji. I actually don't think is going to cross that line. I think it'll still do very well, but I believe it's on diminishing returns, so I don't think it'll hit that. So I'm going to say overreaction.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. So like right now we've got four. We got Spider-Man, Toy Story, Mario, and Michael. We can assume Odyssey's going, well, it's not, it's a foregone conclusion. Odyssey's going to get there, and obviously Endgame's going to get there. Look, Dune's got a shot. But you know, Dune, being the type of movie it is, it's not the huge 4-quadrant mass market appeal kind of movie, despite the fact that they're the best movies, but it's got a shot at $1 billion, I suppose. There's no chance in hell Jumanji's getting to $1 billion. I mean, I would like it to. I think it would be fun if it did, but I just don't see any chance of Jumanji getting to $1 billion. So I think we are going to hit a very good, healthy number of $6 billion films this year. But I think it's an overreaction to think that we're going to get 7. So I'm gonna stick with that. All right, Jonathan, what's up next?
All right, John, is this an overreaction? We're going to hear from Vesper. Matt Reeves' Batverse comes to an end after the Batman 2.
Not an overreaction.
Okay.
Yeah, not an overreaction. Now look, could there be a third Batman film? Yes, there could be. But considering we've waited 76 years for Batman 2, and Matt Reeves doesn't seem to have any kind of a fire under his ass. Now, by the way, guys, there's a rumor going around.
James Gunn just addressed it. Yeah.
That they might be shooting 2 and 3 together, like back to back.
That would make sense.
James Gunn, what did James Gunn say about it? I didn't hear.
Oh yeah, it just happened before the show. He said, "I can deny." Someone asked him, "Can you confirm or deny that part 2 and 3 is filming back to back?" And he said, "I can deny." Just
all right,
straight
so
up.
I didn't really think that was going to happen anyway. I'm just saying there was a rumor going around.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to give a counter argument to my point, which is, I honestly, if I had to bet $5, I would bet that the Batman 2 will be Matt Reeves's last. I would not bet $50, and I would not bet $100 on that. I think it's possible, but yeah, for now, I'm going to say it is not an overreaction to say that this will be it for Matt Reeves's Batman. Chris, what about you?
I'm sadly going to have to agree with you, John. Just with the time it does take, man, he's been open about it. Takes him, it's just the way he writes, it takes him a while. And I just don't see a world where they actually do put 2 Batmen happening simultaneously. As much as the audience might be willing to understand it, I just don't see business-wise how they could justify that. So I do think, unfortunately, part 2 could be the last of the Matt Reeves.
All right. What do we got up next?
All right, Chris, back over to you. Is this an overreaction? We hear from A Brave Coward. The Odyssey will beat Deadpool and Wolverine at the all-time worldwide box office. So the top for an R-rated movie.
Top for an R-rated movie. Dude, that one is difficult. I'm gonna say overreaction on that just for now, just because of the competition coming in. But even then, with Spider-Man, you thought it would really slow down the Odyssey, and it's still chucking along pretty well, and its percentages is still going good week to week. But I'm gonna go overreaction right now.
Yeah, I also have to 100% say overreaction. Okay, because it still has about 400 million to go. Because remember, Deadpool Wolverine, which is the highest grossing R-rated film in history, is sitting at $1.3 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Odyssey has not yet hit $1 billion. It will.
At 9.93.
Yeah, it's already going into its 4th week.
Yeah.
It's already going into its 4th week and it has great legs, but another 400 million, even with China. Remember, the Odyssey hasn't opened in China yet. And it's opening, I think, I might be opening today in China, as a matter of fact. Anyway, if not today, then in the next week or two. And it's expected to make anywhere between 80 to like 120 million in China. Even with that, I'm not going to say it's impossible, right? It's not impossible. We've seen crazier things. It could. I wouldn't bet $1,000 against it, but in general, I think it's an overreaction to think it's going to catch Deadpool and Wolverine at this point already in its 4th week. Yeah, I'm going to call it an overreaction. All right. What do we got up next, Jonathan?
All right, John, is this an overreaction when we hear from Lieutenant John? Man of Tomorrow will make more money than Star Wars Starfighter.
Ooh. Okay. So there's a couple of things going for that, right? Like, number one, Mandalorian and Grogu didn't do so hot, right? Number two, everybody liked, I mean, generally speaking, when you look at the critic and the audience scores, everybody likes Superman. So I expect Superman will do better than I expect Man of Tomorrow will do better, at least a little bit, than the first Superman movie did. But you know what? I'm going to call this an overreaction. I honestly think, and I could be way wrong, I'm just a fan speculating like everybody else. I think Star Wars Starfighter is going to bring the magic of Star Wars back. I really do. I think this is going to be a film. Look, you guys know I talked for well over a year about how just doing Mandalorian and Grogu was a bad idea. Like, really? A glorified extension season of a television show that's last season wasn't even all that good and people didn't like, and that's your movie? Like, I never thought that was a good idea. But I really think with this, with the fact that Kevin Feige loves the movie so much, he got Sean Levy and he got the whole team of Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling to come in and do Ghost Rider. And, you know, Sean Levy, the last time he did something, became the highest grossing R-rated film in history at $1.3 billion with Deadpool and Wolverine. I just have a feeling that, I'm not saying that Starfighter is going to be a $1.5 billion film. Okay. I'm not saying that, but I think the ceiling for Man of Tomorrow is like 750.
Yeah.
And I think the ceiling for Starfighter might be up to the $1 billion mark. Maybe under that, but I think the ceiling is about 250 million higher than the ceiling for Man of Tomorrow. So I'm going to call that an overreaction. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's not an overreaction. I think, unfortunately, Mando and Grogu will hurt Starfighter because it's always about what have you done for me lately. And right now they're on the downward
You're not
trend.
wrong.
And while it could overtake it, I see the ceiling more at like the 500, 600 mark because it's still also an original kind of story in Star Wars, and maybe that is also what the fans want, and it probably is what the brand also needs. But it's more Ryan Gosling right now that's kind of selling it, just because. Again, I'm speaking as a casual Star Wars guy. It's been interesting to see what's been happening with the brand and the box office, but just looking like how Superman essentially almost doubled the latest Star Wars box office. I see that as a no-brainer, especially when they're going to have things like a Green Lantern, John Stewart. They're going to have a Brainiac. It's going to feel like an event film, and I think it's going to do well.
All right, Jonathan, what's our last one?
Here's our last one. Is this an overreaction, Chris? It's from JC. Is it a bad business move to have Miles Morales take over from Peter Parker in the MCU? He has no rogues gallery. Well, I disagree with that, but
disagree with it. No, I don't think so, and I think it's probably the best way to do it without having to reboot a Peter Parker. The way I see it in the future, and the way Tom Holland talks about passing the baton, he said this over and over. I think we eventually see a time where Tom hands that baton. He retires, not necessarily dies or anything, but maybe just takes a back seat, is maybe doing adventures we don't see on screen, and Miles has a trilogy, and Tom gets to go do other things that he's maybe wanted to do his career. So I don't see as bad. And I mean, even look at what they did with the Spot in the animated. As a Spider-Man fan, the Spot was always a joke character. And now that character they did really well. So it's really about what you do because any villain can be turned into a big name stay if done right.
All right, I'm going to call this a massive overreaction, like
Yeah.
massive. Now, but there's an
Oh,
asterisk here.
oh,
Is the general audience going to embrace Spider-Man being Miles Morales as opposed to the guy who has been Spider-Man for decades and decades and decades and decades, Peter Parker? I don't expect whenever, and by the way, guys, everybody misquotes what Kevin Feige said about Miles Morales. Essentially what Kevin Feige said, when you really break down what he says, yeah, we're looking forward to doing Miles Morales whenever Sony lets us do it. And Sony's not about to let them do that anytime immediately soon. But let's say eventually it happens. I don't think the audience is going to be as enthusiastic for any other name other than Peter Parker being Spider-Man. I think it'll work. I certainly have a much higher opinion about its ability to work after Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. Like, that just tells me maybe they will be more open to it. But the idea that it's a bad decision because Spider-Man, the Miles Morales Spider-Man, doesn't have nearly as good of a rogues gallery as Spider-Man. And by the way, I don't think that's an unfair statement to say. Name 5 popular Peter Parker Spider-Man villains, everybody can do it. Name 5 popular Miles Morales Spider-Man villains, a little bit of a harder thing. But the thing is this, nobody cares who the villain is. Nobody cares. It's not the issue. Like Chris just pointed out, they did The Spot. The Spot was the villain in Across the Spider-Verse, and that movie had huge box office. Also, guys, if you ask the general audience going into Spider-Man Brand New Day, who's the villain of Spider-Man Brand New Day? Nobody knew. Nobody even knew who the villain was. And yet it's shattering all kinds of box office. Listen, how well a Miles Morales live-action Spider-Man can fare as opposed to a Peter Parker live-action Spider-Man, that's a discussion to be had. But to say that it's a bad business decision because the Miles Morales one doesn't have as good of a rogue gallery, nobody gives a fuck about the villains gallery when it comes to the movies. They just don't. They made 4 live-action Fantastic Four movies with Doctor Doom. How did arguably the greatest villain in comic book history, how'd that turn out? Nobody cared. So yeah, I just think basing it on the fact that Miles doesn't have a great rogues gallery. Listen, people go to see Spider-Man movies to see Spider-Man. They don't go to see who the villain is. They go to see Spider-Man. And that I don't think that'll have a negative impact on Miles Morales at all. Whenever that does happen 5, 10, 15 years from now. All right, guys. That will wrap up our session of Overreaction. Thank you to all you guys who sent in your submissions. And listen, guys, keep your eyes open on the YouTube channel for when we put out a call for submission for your hot takes. And maybe you will see your next hot take adjudicated here on Overreaction. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Well, we already know that we've got our Jean Grey in Sadie Sink. We now know we've got our Emma Frost in Samara Weaving. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this morning we got our Cyclops, as Deadline is reporting exclusively that they have found out that Kevin Feige has landed on actor Kit Connor to play Cyclops in the upcoming X-Men saga, the mutant saga, the new era of stuff coming up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, if you are like me, when you heard that they cast Kit Connor, you did your best imitation from Guardians of the Galaxy of who? Yeah. And listen, I did not recognize the name. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't recognize the name. But he has been in a number of things. So Kit Connor, if I go over to his page here, he's done a number of things, some of which I would not have recognized him from. So, for instance, he was in that movie Warfare last year. That was really good, but I did not
Yeah.
remember him in it at all. He's like this 9th or 10th listed guy in it. The big thing he's known for is this very popular series called Heartstoppers, which I admit before today I'd never even heard of. I know a lot of other people. I know some people who very, very much are into that show. I've never even seen so much as a trailer for it. He was a voice in Wild Robot. I don't remember him because he's only a voice in His Dark Materials. Of course, he was in Rocket Man as the older Reggie. And then he did a voice in Ready Player One. So I couldn't pick this guy out of a lineup to save my life. I really couldn't. So all I have to go on is that if Schaefer, who's going to be directing X-Men, of course, he directed Thunderbolts and did a great job with that one, and Kevin Feige, they've apparently gone through a whole ton of people. And if they landed on this guy, look, Marvel has taken some swings and missed. Absolutely they have. Very rarely have they missed on their casting, though. Very rarely have they missed on their casting. And if they say this is the guy to play Cyclops, until I see otherwise, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that this is the guy to play Cyclops. Now, he's got a number of other things coming up, including he's got this film coming up that's in pre-production right now called Rapture. He's been cast in the live action adaptation of the video game Elden Ring. He's filming right now a new version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I mean, he's got a number of things. He's already caught a lot of people's attention in Hollywood. He's going to be, he's being kind of targeted as the next it guy. So this is the guy. And you know what? I know nothing about his resume. So the fact that Kevin Feige likes him and considering he's getting cast in all this other stuff, I'm just going to have to give them the benefit of the doubt for now and just trust they found their guy. And you know what? I'm okay with it being a no name. Like I'm totally okay with them getting a very hot actress right now in Sadie Sink coming off of Stranger Things. I'm very okay with them getting a recognizable name like a Samara Weaving for Emma Frost, but I'm also totally cool with them getting a complete no name because not a lot of people knew James Marsden before he was cast as Cyclops in the original X-Men. So for now, I'm going to say, I'm glad we got our Cyclops. I'm just going to trust Kevin Feige that they got the right guy. Anyway, Chris, you saw the casting for this. Do you have any exposure to his resume at all? And if so, what do you think about the casting?
No, yeah, we talked about this. My go-to whenever I get a name of an actor and I don't know their work, but they're cast as a superhero, is to search actor name shirtless. And you know what? I'm sold. That's all I needed. I said, Kevin Feige, I understand that.
He's got the superhero physique.
He's got it. Yeah, I can't speak to his acting ability. You know, there was another name floating around that I definitely looked at shirtless pick and I went, I don't know. And it was like a Cooper Hoffman. And
yeah.
When that was going around, I started to warm up to it because at the end of the day, I was like, well, Cooper Hoffman has shown he's a great actor. And so they could Chris Pratt him and probably get him into the role. And so this is kind of the opposite with me. It's like I see the physical. I could see him with the visor and he's got the jawline. I'm sure he's going to do great. I'm trusting Kevin Feige and director as well on this one. To me, I'm also liking the age. I like this route. We saw kind of like the soft reboot of the Fox universe do this where they went younger with all the mutants so that they can age them as they go. I feel like they didn't utilize that as well.
There, I found your picture for you.
There
we go. Thank you. Thank you so much. There we go. But I think Kevin Feige will definitely utilize that, right? Is having them grow into the roles that you know them to be. I wasn't too excited if they were already he's 33, already leading the X-Men. I kind of would like to see that leadership skill grow in that arc. And I'm thinking maybe that's what Kevin wants as well. So I like the age, I like the physique. I'm just waiting to see now the acting ability and what the costume will look like. They're doing the 90s suit with Marsden. Will they do the 90s suit again? I doubt it.
Now, I will say, following along in the live chat on the show prior to the show starting today, there's a bunch of people in our live chat who watched that. What was the name of that show again?
Heartstoppers?
Heartstoppers? Is that it? Yeah.
I think so.
Apparently a lot of people in our live chat had watched Heartstoppers and they were saying, no, John, this guy can act.
Good. Cool.
This guy's good. And you know what? I have to assume he's got to have something to him. Yeah. If prior to being cast in X-Men, he's getting all these other projects lined up, including some very high profile projects. So I'm going to give
got
him
a
the
good
benefit of the
agent.
doubt. He's got a really good, he's clearly got a really good agent. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Now, look, obviously going into this, one of the top things on my priority list is, damn it, I just need them to do Cyclops with some damn respect.
Yes.
Because, not only did, and I'm a big fan of the Fox era X-Men movies, even though they put out some stinkers. Overall, I'm a big fan of it. I remember it very fondly. But not only did they totally short sell Cyclops, who should have been one of the major players in that entire franchise, but they squandered having, and I don't like using the word perfect often, but they squandered the perfect casting with James Marsden, who was perfect to be Cyclops. If you gave him the right things to do, he could have been, honestly, in a what if universe. We often talk about, I have a triumvirate of guys who were in the comic book genre who were born to play the role. Hugh Jackman to play Wolverine, Ryan Reynolds to play Deadpool, and probably Robert Downey Jr. playing Tony Stark. I honestly think if they had done Cyclops right, I honestly feel that James Marsden could have been up there with Hugh Jackman as like one of those guys. He was so perfect. And it's just every once in a while you see a role that they don't give that character the right action, or sometimes you see a role where they really misuse that casting. This was both. This was a golden opportunity. But I mean, luckily for Kit, he's not going to be compared to much because James Marsden was never given much to do.
Given much, yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know how are you feeling about like Cyclops in general going? What are you hoping to see moving into this mutant saga, Chris, of what they do? And I'm not saying Cyclops has to be the star, that Cyclops is front and center of I'm not saying that, but I need more than what we gave before. What do you see them doing? What are you hoping they do with them?
This is one of those things that like I do really love that the Fox universe didn't fully utilize Cyclops, because Kevin Feige, when he gets these characters now, whether it was like a Spider-Man, bring him into MCU, or now the X-Men, he's known to not want to retread what has already been done. And we've seen that a lot with Spider-Man. He's avoided a lot of classic things with it because he wanted to have the MCU in their own. And with Cyclops just not given that limelight or appreciation, I'm thinking that's a high priority for Feige to establish him as a leader, establish his personality well and dynamic with the team. So that's definitely something I want to see when it comes down to it. To me, it's also just about well, then who leads right now? Is it just Professor X? Is it, what does the team dynamic even look like then? Because it's looking like a young cast all around. So who is going to be the quote unquote, I say, babysitter on the field when things start going wrong in town?
It's got to be Cyclops, though, right?
Yeah,
like it has to be Cyclops. So I'm seeing some. Go ahead, Jonathan.
I think you might have that next tier up. Like they may have, we'll see. I don't even know if Storm is involved in this as a character, but you could have someone like a Storm be a little older. Yeah. And I don't mean that she's necessarily but more of a mature, like person on the field with them. We see that. I mean, Emma Frost is an older character and Samara Weaving is in her 30s. I don't know if she's on the X-Men. I don't know if she's an antagonist, but so I think there's still opportunities for that. As far as James Marsden goes, hey, maybe the Russos can give him his a really good send off, whatever happens.
I mean, I think if all we see in Avengers Doomsday from Cyclops is that one scene that we've gotten in the previews and trailers, I'm happy. I'm so happy. Just him getting that moment to rip loose. And I think this is going to be a great send off for James Marsden, who never got his due as Cyclops. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Deadline has scooped it. They got who our next Cyclops is going to be. It's Kit Connor from Heartstoppers, a show that I've never seen. and hardly ever heard of, but apparently a lot of people watch it and some people are very excited about the casting. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. It's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before that, we got to do two things. First, we're going to bid good afternoon to our wonderful Thursday guests, as always, 3C Films, Chris Parker. Chris, awesome as always, my man. We'll talk to you next week.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Have to delete my internet history real quick, but I will be back.
Sure.
And
Let's
of
be
course-
back next week.
Yeah. Right.
We will talk to you, Jonathan Voico. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yep. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right, guys, the one other thing we've got to do before we get to your live questions is we're going to take a second and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at Mars Men. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, Mars Men. Guys, you know that one of the frustrating things about getting older is realizing that the things that used to come naturally suddenly require a lot more effort. You wake up tired, workouts feel harder, recovery takes longer, and by the middle of the afternoon, your energy and focus can completely disappear. And that's where Mars Men comes in. Mars Men is designed to support healthy testosterone levels, natural energy, and stamina using 8 clinically dosed ingredients. There are absolutely no synthetics or needles, and it's made in the USA and third-party tested. Some men report steadier energy, stronger workouts, and better recovery, and it comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. For a limited time, our listeners get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts when you check out. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the John Campea Show and tell them we sent you. And thank you to our friends at Mars Men for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys. Oh, my headphones leave this hair thing sticking up. Now, let's get on to the most important stuff, which is, of course, your live comments and questions. We're going to kick things off here. I believe it's with Tim. Let's see here. Yes, Tim. And Tim writes, do you think Zendaya and Tom's Odyssey press tour and recent marriage helped Spider-Man even more? The press tour for both movies was their honeymoon. Yeah, listen, I'm going to be doing an editorial video this weekend on the 5 reasons why Spider-Man Brand New Day has done so well. And a little spoiler alert, one of them is going to be Tom and Zendaya. And listen, they have become, Rob's mentioned this before too, they have literally become America's sweethearts. Everybody loves them. The whole romance, the marriage, their public displays of affection, the fact that they're in both Odyssey and this. And anyway, without going into all the details, do I think that helped contribute? Do I think that attracted some people that maybe wouldn't have otherwise gone to a Spider-Man movie? Yeah. Yeah, I really do. And like the difference between 1 and 1.5 billion? No, but a difference? Yeah, I really think it did make a difference. All right. Next up, Mitch's Geek Corner writes, John, I just want to say thank you for giving me and my mom an opportunity to bond. Working at the same job, she loves when I listen to you on the way home every day. Aw, thanks so much, man. I appreciate that, knowing that my show gets to be that for you guys. Thank you so much. That means so much to me. Thank you, dude. I'm glad our show can be there for you for that. All right. Next up, we've got Yakov writes, if you want to see Kit's acting, check out Heartstopper. Yeah, I've never even heard of it. I'm probably not going to watch it. I've got 50 other shows in my queue, including season 2s that I got to get caught up on. But apparently, a lot of people like it and say he's pretty good in it. All right, next up. Bobby Jackson writes, with Secret Wars set for next December, do you know when production needs to start to make the date? And does it factor in delays or additional shooting? The movie's not... why is there this belief out there that Secret Wars is going to be delayed? There is literally no actual, real, tangible reason for anybody to think that Secret Wars is going to be delayed. Now, that's not to say that things can't come up. Of course. Maybe Robert Downey Jr. breaks his leg or what. Look, yes, something could come up. But as of right now, August 6th, there is literally no reason in the world to believe that Avengers Secret Wars is going to be delayed. Anyway, when would it need to be in production by? I think it would need to be in production by December. Because you have to remember, they have already been doing pre-production work on the movie for a while. Like a lot of that heavy lifting, a lot of that big major work, including a lot of the visual effects work, is already being done now. It's already being done. They just haven't started rolling the cameras with the live action actors. However, so do I think deadline would be December? I think deadline would be December. However, they're going to start shooting this month. I do know that the plan is for cameras to start rolling sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to be doing a story that Avengers Secret Wars begins filming. It is going to be this month. So they've got plenty of time. They've got plenty of time. But yeah, I would say if they're not rolling cameras by like December, by the time Doomsday comes out, then I would say start getting worried if they're not rolling cameras by then. But the plan is that they're going to start rolling cameras this month. So everything's fine. There's no reason for delay. Again, who knows what will happen in the future, but as of right now, it's totally fine. All right. Next up, Eric writes, glad to see new Cyclops. He's one of my favorite comic book characters. I just hope they do well this time. The problem was, it's not that they did a bad job with Cyclops in the Fox X-Men era. It's that they didn't do anything with him, right? It's not like they gave him a storyline and it was terrible. They just literally didn't do anything with him. The only time they gave him anything to do was when Jean died and he's like, no, like that was a cool moment, but that's literally the only scene they gave him. So if they do anything with him, it'll be a step up from what they did in the Fox era. All right. X-Men Superfan writes, Batman called Wonder Woman the best melee fighter in the world. Do you think that this is true or still? No, that was never true. It's not, she's not even in the top 10. If you're taking out powers, she's not top 5. She's not top 5. Now, if you're including powers in there, well, she's one of the most powerful characters in DC. So of course, but if you're just talking straight hand-to-hand combat ability, no, she's never been the best. Probably top 5. Now, she is a trained warrior, 100%. She's a trained warrior and all the superpowers and all kind of stuff. But there are others who trained a lot more. I mean, Bruce himself trained every possible discipline in every corner of the world. I mean, and there are a number of other characters that have been like that too. So no, she's not the top melee combat fighter in DC. Not at all. All right. I mean, very, very good. Obviously, I don't mean to detract. I'm just saying, but not the top. All right. Dinito writes, hot take. No one did Hulk better than Joss Whedon. That's not a hot take at all. That's 100% true. Spider-Man Brand New Day did a good job of bringing back that Hulk, but the best Hulk we have ever gotten. I feel very, very safe in saying this. The best Hulk we've ever had on screen is Joss Whedon's vision of him in the first Avengers movie. 100%. All right. McCrae writes, hey, John, the government, Netflix, and Zaslav is playing chess and Paramount is playing checkers with this deal, it seems, says Yoda. Yeah, I mean, look, I got to be very, very clear about this. Make no mistake, there is still, granted, a very narrow, but there is still a path to victory here for Paramount. But it is narrow. The judge setting the date for March is going to make it extremely difficult for Paramount to get this done by June 4th. Of course, June 4th is the date that if Paramount doesn't have the deal closed by then, Warner Brothers has the contractual right to kill the deal. And they'll have to, because if they don't at that point, then their own shareholders are going to sue them. So again, they have a chance. It's just, it's going to be an uphill battle at this point, but let's see what happens. All right. Thanks for that, McCrae. X-Men Superfan writes, do you think Storm, Nightcrawler, or Iceman could get their own solo films in the MCU? Well, any character can get their own solo film. I don't really see Nightcrawler. I don't see Nightcrawler getting a solo film. And it would all depend on how they introduce these characters, right? It's very, very difficult to do a live action movie with a character that's not human. There obviously are examples, but it's a lot more difficult. So that's why Nightcrawler, I think, would be, and I think Nightcrawler can be an awesome addition, but his own movie, that's going to be tough. Storm, yeah, but let's see what their philosophy is, and let's see how they introduce them and how they use them, because really how they introduce them and how the audience responds to all the characters is going to determine really who gets their own standalone movies or not. All right. Next up, we've got MM who writes, part 1, hey guys, so about Wonder Man being canceled, I agree that Disney is separating out their movies and TV, but I think they are moving Disney Plus to be geared towards a younger audience. That's possible, but I don't necessarily think so. Disney Plus is going to be a major part of Disney's overall strategy. And I think that means all ages. I just think they and a lot of other people, studios, are re-examining the strategy about developing content directly for their streaming service. I think Disney is edging towards making their bigger philosophy and strategy about making big popular movies in theaters and then putting them on the streaming service, which raises the value of the streaming service. But again, we're at the very, very early stages of that. So let's see how that kind of evolves as we go. All right. MM also writes, part 2. Oh, I've heard rumors that they want to do free Disney Plus with ads. Well, that's not rumors. Those are actual reports that Disney Plus is looking at doing a completely free version of it with ads. 100%. That's real. Which I get. There's only so many people that you can get to subscribe, but the ad revenue is endless. You know what the last 5 or 6 years has been? The last 5 or 6 years has been the streaming networks walking back all the new things they did to make it more and more like the cable television era. Everything's been about walking it back and making it again more and more like cable television. And one of the big things is, remember, Rob and I both have been predicting for years that at some point the streamers are going to go back to the ad-based, the ad-supported thing, because the way streaming works right now, let's say you're HBO and you put Lanterns up. Do you know it doesn't make the single bit of difference if 5 people watch Lanterns or 5 million people watch Lanterns? Makes no difference. If they're all already subscribers, the only thing that mattered, the only thing that got you revenue with a TV show and a streamer is if that show got new subscribers to sign up. That was it. That's why a lot of streamers cancel popular shows after 2 or 3 seasons. Like a lot of people would always ask, why is Netflix canceling this super popular show after 3 seasons? Because it doesn't matter. They got all the new subscribers from it in the first season or 2, and they're not getting new subscribers for that show anymore. So it doesn't matter how popular it is. Netflix doesn't make money based on the number of people that watch it. And so if your show is getting 50 million views, but you're not getting new subscribers because of it anymore, you cut the show and you start developing, you put the money into a new show that can get new subscribers, right? By going to the ad-supported model again, you actually make money by the amount of people watching. So there's that. Raider saying, how do you judge what brings in subscribers? We've covered this before, but they have tools and metrics that the basic way they judge it is, I forget the name of the stat, but we've talked about this before. There's a specific name for a stat they have, which is basically when a new subscriber signs up, what are the first 3 things they search for and watch? They have that data. So when 1,000 people sign up and like the first thing they go to is Stranger Things, well, then they know pretty much right away, these people signed up for Stranger Things. You know what I'm saying? So they follow that data, and that's why that data is so important to them. All right. Next up, We got X-Men Superfan who writes, why do you think there are timeless franchises like Scooby-Doo? Scooby-Doo is not a timeless franchise. That always gets attention and tends to do well with strong fandom. Scooby-Doo does not do well. And on the other side, franchises like He-Man that don't always click. Scooby-Doo put out 3 movies in the past couple of decades. Only one of them made over $200 million. So Scooby-Doo is not as long-lasting or beloved as you think. I mean, it's all about the quality of it and do they maintain through the years. He-Man came out 30 years ago and has never really had a pop cultural presence since, and then to suddenly just drop it now. Whereas with Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo's always got some kind of iteration going on, but even Scooby-Doo does not do particularly well. As a matter of fact, let me look it up here. Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, made $181 million. Scoob in 2020 made $28 million. Yeah, so Scooby-Doo doesn't really do it. All right. Next up. Sam Fisher writes, I'm very happy with this casting. Scott is my favorite X-Man. He is the proto X-Man. I agree. A master tactician. There is a reason Xavier made him the field leader. Yeah, I agree. And even like in X-Men 97, when Charles goes away, like Cyclops leads the X-Men. He takes over the X-Men. Again, such a fumble from the Fox X-Men era for not doing more with him. Anyway. All right. Next up, Renato writes, sends in like $23 super chat. Thank you, Renato. Appreciate that, man. Thank you for the support. And he writes, since T'Challa Jr. is the new Black Panther, how much of the MCU do you think they will keep or should keep? I wasn't expecting a full reboot like DC, but at least reset most of the OG characters and storylines. No, I don't think they're going to. I think Kevin Feige made that pretty clear. They straight up asked Kevin Feige recently, I think, was it Variety that did it? Anyway, they straight up asked him, is it a reboot after Secret Wars? And he said, no, it's not. Now, I'm sure there are going to be some things that get tweaked, but basically, since we are getting Shang-Chi 2 sometime after Secret Wars, since we are getting a Thor 5 sometime after Secret Wars, and all that kind of stuff, it's not a reboot. So exactly how are they going to make adjustments? Don't really know for sure, Renato. It's hard to say at this point, but we can say that this idea that they were going to reboot the MCU after Secret Wars has been firmly put to bed. Like that's not the case. Then some people like to use the term soft reboot. I don't even know that you can call it a soft reboot. I think like after every major event in the MCU, there are minor ways that it changes and some tweaks that are made, but that happens after every phase. So look, we're not even at Doomsday yet. We got a long way to go until we get to Secret Wars. So right now, I think it's just safe to assume that it's just going to carry on, but let's get closer to Secret Wars before we start thinking about what they do after Secret Wars when we haven't even had Doomsday yet. You know what I'm saying, Renato? Anyway, man, thank you so much for sending that in, and thank you so much for supporting on that level, dude. That's very generous of you, man. All right, Eric writes, John, if you were to guess what lineup of the X-Men, what do you think they'll use? All right, so a lot of people think, I hope they do just the original X-Men. It's like, I think a couple of them, but like the original lineup of X-Men, and correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but I think the original lineup was Cyclops, it was Jean, it was Bobby, it was Beast, and it was Angel, right? I think that was the original 5. Am I missing anybody? It was Scott, it was Jean, it was Bobby, it was Beast, and it was Angel. I think that's it. I think it was the 5. So some people want the original 5, but the reality is 95% of the movie-going audience don't even know who the original 5 X-Men were. So I don't think there's any real importance to do that. If I had to guess, here's my guess. Pure guess, okay? Pure guess. Obviously, Scott and Jean, right? That's there. I can't see them not having Aurora. I can't see them not having Storm. So Storm will be there. I think Beast will be part of it. I do think Bobby will be a part of it. And I think Kitty Pryde. will be it. My guess is that Emma Frost will start as an antagonist, much like she did in the comics. I think Emma Frost starts as an antagonist, not as an X-Man. So yeah, that's right now. And by the way, if you ask me again tomorrow, I might give a different answer, but right now that's my guess as to who their lineup will be. All right. Next up, Culture Wars Diplomacy writes, John, Lex was one of my favorite shows. And I'm watching the Listener. I don't even know what that is. Canada makes some good stuff and recommendations. I am not even aware of the Listener. And I'll be honest with you, I never watched Lex. I mean, I've seen a lot of images of the costumes. They were pretty awesome. But I never watched Lex. And I've been out of Canada. I mean, I haven't been living in Canada for 17 years. So I've never seen that. So I don't really know. I always find out about the good Canadian stuff later, like Letterkenny. I didn't know about Letterkenny until you guys told me about Letterkenny. I didn't know about Schitt's Creek, which is, I think, maybe the best show ever. I mean, I didn't know about Schitt's Creek till you guys told me about it. I didn't know about Kim's Convenience until you got also one of the best sitcoms I've ever seen. I didn't know about that till you guys told me about it. Right. So, yeah, I'm behind because I don't live there and I don't have the networks here. All right. Thanks for that, Culture Wars. X-Men Superfan writes, who do you think would be a better bride or medium place between Charles and Eric ideologically stands in the MCU? Mystique, like in the Foxverse, or Emma Frost? I think they're probably going to go with Emma Frost. Like, I think we're going to get Mystique, but I think we've had so much Mystique. I think they're going to take some of that attention and maybe make Emma Frost fill some of those narrative roles. Rich Reviews writes, could the Ellisons make a sweetheart deal to the states and WGA in order to settle? Also, if this went to the Supreme Court, does the losing side still pay legal fees? All right, let's start with the losing side paying legal fees. It is not a given that a losing side in a lawsuit has to pay legal fees. That's not a given. There are certain circumstances that have to happen. I won't go into all of it. So that's besides the point. This is never going to get to the Supreme Court. The reason it's never going to get to the Supreme Court is that to go to the Supreme Court, there are certain things that have to happen first before the option of going to the Supreme Court becomes an option that's available to you. So, for example, Paramount has to go to this trial. They can't just skip this trial and go right to the Supreme Court. You can't do that. They got to have this trial. And then once that happens, you've got to do the Ninth Circuit. You got to do the appellate court for appeals. But here's the problem. June 4th. That is the day that David Zaslav gets the contractual right to cancel the deal and collect a $7 billion check from Paramount. They don't have time to get to the Supreme Court before that happens. They just don't. So the Supreme Court isn't going to become a part of this. The only way the Supreme Court becomes a part of this is if Paramount wins both the litigation with the states and the litigation with the WGA. And then they win the appeal with both the appeals with the states and with the WGA. And then it can go to the Supreme Court, but they can only get to the Supreme Court if they win. If they lose, it's over because they hit the July 4th deadline and they lose. So I don't think everybody's saying, Trump Supreme Court's. It's not going to get to the Supreme Court because the time runs out. They don't have the time. They're just simply running out of time. So yeah, that's why it's again, it is not impossible that Paramount can prevail. It's just very difficult right now. Like everything is kind of stacked against them at the moment. All right. Good question, Rich. Next up, Mega Red 555 writes, my sister is a huge Kit Connor fan. I think this is a great casting. If the idea is to try to get the attention of a new, younger fan base, I honestly don't think that's the goal. The goal is not to get the attention of a new, younger fan base, because even the younger fan base, most people don't know who Kit Connor is. I literally think they just went out and got the best actor to fit the role. That's it. If they wanted to go out and get somebody to attract the new, younger fan base, there are younger actors who are far more famous than Kit Connor. Far more famous. If that was the goal, they had a lot of other people to draw from. I honestly think their one and only priority was just getting the best fit for Cyclops. Who, when they put in that costume and put him in front of a camera and put him opposite a couple of other people, who exudes Cyclops? And I think that's it. I really don't think it was to gain this or gain that. I think it was just get the best Cyclops possible. And I hope that's what they've done. I won't be able to know until I watch it for sure, though. All right. Pedro writes, howdy, John. A friend of mine who works for Disney in Burbank told me we might see a teaser for Star Wars Starfighter at Doomsday. What do you think of Disney doing this if they actually do it? Well, that would make sense, right? Let me just look. I can't remember when is the release date. Release date for Star Wars Starfighter. I can't remember when it is. I think it's in the summer sometime. Let me just see. I'm bringing it up. May 28th, 2027. You know what? I think there's probably a good chance we get our first Star Wars Starfighter trailer before Doomsday. Because that's December. So January, February, March, April, May. So that's 5 months out. I think 5 months out is a good time to put out your first trailer. But I have a feeling for Starfighter, they may actually put out their first trailer even before that. Listen. I'd put money down that we're going to get our first Starfighter trailer with D23. I think we get at least our first teaser. I think we might, because they've been done shooting that movie forever now. Like, that movie's, it's still in post-production, yes, but they finished shooting that movie forever ago. So I would not be surprised at all if we actually get our first teaser at D23. So I think it could be before Doomsday. Maybe a new trailer of Doomsday, but I think we might get our first one even before that. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just guessing, but that's my guess. All right. Thanks for that, Pedro. Next up, Ashab writes, can you do a Nolan movie ranking later? Sure. At some point, maybe I'll do a Christopher Nolan movie rankings. Garong writes, hey, John, longtime fan since the AMC days. Thank you so much. Looking forward to your thoughts on the Ramayana trailer. Sony is distributing the film internationally. I haven't seen the new one. Like, I remember I saw the original one last year, the original trailer last year, and it looked really interesting. I mean, I didn't know what the hell was going on in it because I don't know the mythology, obviously. But, I mean, they've obviously gone all out with it. I haven't seen the new trailer or the new version. I don't think we'll cover it on the show, but it's going to be interesting to see. I just remember the first stuff they put out looked like they went absolutely all in on it. Looked like they were going just all in on it. Okay. Next up, we've got X-Men Superfan who writes, do you think the MCU will finally adapt Destiny and give Mystique her wife? No, probably not. That would be like, they're just starting the X-Men. You're probably talking 15 years down the road. As interesting the Fox version was, I thought it was cowardly that Mystique's bisexuality and wife were never adapted. Oh, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. You're talking about a huge, you're talking about a character with decades and decades and decades and decades. I think to say it's cowardly because they didn't cover this one particular thing about the character, I think that's nonsense. All due respect, but I think that's nonsense. So you're talking about, let's even just get into the character, because they didn't get into a lot. There are about 500 major things about Magneto that I could list that they never touched on in the movies, because you only got so much time. You're drawing on decades and decades and decades of source material, but 90 minutes on screen. Like, there's only so much you can do. So no, it wasn't cowardly. It's just that you have your priorities and what comes first. So no, I don't agree with you on that at all, X-Men. All right. Geet writes, Hey, John, just wanted to say I'm a fan of the show. Thank you so much. Love how positive and fair you try to be even on things you don't like as much. Love to everyone on the show. Well, listen, thank you for that, Geet. Appreciate that. I'm just a fan of movies, and I want every movie to be great. And I want people to love the movies they see, even when they're movies I don't like. Like, you know how much of a steaming pile of wretched dog shit I think the Star Wars prequels are. They're all vomit, pure vomit. But I love if somebody else enjoys it. I'm jealous if people like movies I don't like, because I wish I could like it too. Film is art, and art is subjective, and it hits us all in different ways. And just because I don't like a movie doesn't mean I hope you don't like it. I hope you get huge amounts of enjoyment and entertainment out of it, even if it's something I don't like. So yes, if you bring up a movie I think is terrible, like, I don't know, Michael Fassbender's, what's the video game one he did? Assassin's Creed. Yeah, if you bring up Assassin's Creed and ask me about it, I'll tell you it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But if you tell me you liked it, I love that. I love that you enjoyed it. That's what film fandom should be. Film fandom should be about, it's totally okay if you like or hate something, but don't hope other people hate what you hate too. Why not cheer for it? Why not hope other people enjoy it? So I certainly hope I hated Supergirl. Well, you know what? I'm gonna back off that a little bit. I'm not gonna say I hated Supergirl. I just think Supergirl was a bad movie. I didn't like it. I won't go so far as to say I hated it, but I didn't like it. It was a bad movie. But I love when I get people writing saying, you know what, John, I saw Supergirl and had a really good time. Awesome. I love hearing that you had a good time. And yeah, that's why when I'm talking about movies that I don't like, I try to start with the positives. Like when I'm doing out of theater reviews, if I didn't like a movie, I try to start with the things that I thought were good about it. If I do like a movie, I try to start with the things that I didn't like about it and then move on to the things I like. But I just don't understand why everybody doesn't have this philosophy. We love movies, so let's hope they're all great. And if I don't like it, why shouldn't I hope somebody else likes it too? I'll never understand that Grinch-like attitude. But anyway, that's just me. Thank you for that, Greet. Appreciate that very much. All right, next up, Dylan writes, with the Booster Gold show not moving forward, do you think we could see him in other projects? Possible. But here's the thing I'll say. And you guys know, I love James Gunn. I cannot profess my fandom of James Gunn enough. I love James Gunn. And I think he's a tremendous director. And I absolutely was 100% on board with him being the head of DC. That said, I have my doubts about this philosophy of doing a lot of lesser known characters when we still haven't got Batman, we still haven't got Wonder Woman, we still haven't gotten any of the other key members of the Justice League, like a key cornerstone characters like Flash or Aquaman or things like that. And we're talking about doing a Jimmy Olsen show. Like, okay, Clayface, cool. Dark character, doing a horror movie, a little bit different. Got it. Love it. Do it. But we are literally getting a Jimmy Olsen show before we get Batman. And I know there are people who really like Booster Gold. Absolutely. But let's be honest. Nobody knows who Booster Gold is. Like in the general movie-going audience, right? Like nobody knows who Booster Gold is. Nobody cares who Booster Gold is. And so I don't think you had to come out with DC and start with Superman and then do Batman and then do Wonder Woman. I don't think that, but at some point you got to start thinking about the bigger characters. And I would like to see him, by the way, and of course my biggest criticism of James Gunn, and it's my criticism because I do think he's the man and I think he's great, but he's got to decide what job he wants. Does he want to be a director or does he want to be the head of the studio? because trying to do both isn't working. But anyway, that's just neither here nor there. All right, next up. Crazy Vegas writes, John, when you go on your Trumple foreskin rants, I only wish I could subscribe even more. Do you think you'll ever host a filthy politics show, please? Yes. Whenever I am done and I retire from doing the movie podcasting stuff, I am absolutely 100% going to be getting into politics. 100%. Just because I got to live in this world and I have opinions about what's happening in the world I live in. So I will absolutely be doing politics stuff. I'll let you in on something. I've already had a sponsor. This was last year, 2025. I already had a significant sponsor come up and say, hey, if you would do this type of show, we would be the sponsor. We would sponsor that. And I'm like, no. And look, the reason being is, well, every once in a while, I'll drop an angry barb at the that fuck toy puss boy, Trumple foreskin. Everybody knows what I think about him. I do, for 99% of the hours on my show, try not to get into that stuff because, I have some great friends who are film pundits who are Republican. I am Canadian. I'm neither Republican nor Democrat. I actually have some views that would fall more into the Republican camp. And anyway, I try to stay away from that as much as I can because we're all film fans. I think any real Republican should detest Trumple foreskin because he's the antithesis of their traditional values, be that as it may. But yeah, that's why at most on my show, you'll hear me make the odd little barb, but I try to stay away from it as much as I can. And so I think doing a politics show would be counterproductive to trying to do a movie show that's for all of us as movie fans. And so, but yeah, once I retire, I'll definitely be going into that. All right. Next up. We've got X-Men Superfan again, writes, last night I rewatched Adam's Rib. Never saw it, actually. Oh, no. So, yes, I have. Yeah. And I don't know what I was saying about something else. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which is an all-time great. The day before watching The Lion Winter, which is also great. And I was thinking Katharine Hepburn just steals the spotlight from everyone. You've written in before and asked about Katharine Hepburn. Listen, there is no discussion about the greatest actresses of all time if Katharine Hepburn's not on that list. I mean, she's just simply one of the best to ever do it. All right, B writes, how is box office measured with A-list subscriptions? Oh, this question again. If I see Spider-Man 3 times this week, how do they measure how much money goes to the box office? All right, I'll try to do this quickly. I've answered this many, many times. But I'll use myself as an example. When I use my A-list to get a ticket to see Spider-Man, what happens normally when I buy my ticket to see Spider-Man, right? Forget A-list. When I buy my ticket to see Spider-Man, a percentage of that movie ticket purchase, the majority of it, gets sent off to the studios and to the distributors. And then AMC keeps a portion of it. When I use my A-list, or if you have Regal Unlimited or something like that, when I use my A-list to get a Spider-Man ticket, AMC does their accounting by counting that as a movie ticket purchase at the national average ticket price. I think right now the national average ticket price is like $11, I think. Anyway, so just for argument's sake, AMC counts that in their ledgers as if I bought an $11 movie ticket. So AMC then takes a portion of that $11 and sends it to the studios. Now you may say, well, then AMC's losing money. They're not losing money, because even though they've got to send the studios like $7 of that $11, $7 or $8 of that $11, of that theoretical $11, they got my fat ass in the movie theater. And my fat ass is going to buy a popcorn. And my fat ass is going to buy a soda. And on the occasional time, my fat ass is going to get some Reese's peanut butter nibbies. Is that what they called? Nibbies? No, Reese's Pieces, right? So the studios make money. AMC makes money. So if you use, in this theoretical example, if I use my A-list to see Spider-Man 3 times this week, then AMC, in this example, would cut a check to the studios for $24 and send $24 off to the studio, knowing that I'm probably going to spend $24 or more at the concession stands while I'm there. So that's generally how it works. All right. Next up, Renato writes, Deadline is reporting Yuli Latukef, I don't know him, or from Alien Covenant, Marco Polo will play Ganondorf in the, I don't know how to pronounce it. I've only ever read that name, Zelda movie, and I'm here for it. Sounds like great casting. Here's the funny thing about that. He was cast ages ago. You know, they've been shooting this movie for, I saw that news come out. I was like, yeah, but he was probably already cast like 6 months ago and has probably already shot his role because they've been shooting this movie forever. But yeah, I also saw that news. Can I just say, Renato, I am getting more and more interested in this Zelda movie. Like, I always thought it was a good idea to do a live action Zelda. I always thought that was a good idea. But now that I've seen the kid who's playing Link, if you guys watch House of the Dragon, the kid playing Link is Darren Targaryen in House of the Dragon, who just came in this year. And I'm really liking this kid. I'm liking this kid a lot. So I am getting more and more interested in this Zelda movie, and hearing good casting and good people being added to it only adds to the excitement, I think. All right. Thanks for that, Renato. Next up, Animesh writes, for me, the top 2 biggest gasp twists in all of the MCU are in Spider-Man movies. Third being Infinity War ending. Well, since I don't know which ones you're talking about, biggest gasp twists. Yeah, the ending of Infinity Wars is got to be right up for like defining gasp twist. Thanos winning was definitely a big one. That was a definite big one. I don't know if the Spider-Man movies have had those big gasp twists or not. Again, if I knew which ones specifically you were talking about, then that would, then maybe I'd go, oh yeah, you're right. But since I'm not quite sure which one specific you're talking about, but yeah, man, that ending of Infinity War, like the bad guy winning was a huge one, dude. Absolutely huge. All right. Animesh also writes, and the very best last scene, not mid or post-credit scene in all the MCU is definitely I Am Iron Man, but the next 4 are all in Spider-Man movies. See, I'm not sure I agree with that. And you know, that kind of came up the other day. To be honest with you, I find the line a little corny. I kind of wish he had a better last line than that. And I am Iron Man. It's like, well, that only makes sense if you saw Iron Man 1, and obviously that line wouldn't mean anything. Like, he's talking to Thanos. You think he would say something to Thanos that would really stick it to Thanos. Again, you guys know I love Endgame. I don't know if I love that last line as much as most people do. Yeah, I don't think I do. I don't think I love it as much as most. I don't think it's terrible. Don't get me wrong. Don't misinterpret me. It's not like John said the ending of Endgame sucks. That is not what I'm saying. It just doesn't hit me as well as it does other people. I wish there was a different line that would make more sense in the moment. Like, it just makes no sense saying, and I am Iron Man. Like, yeah, I know you're Iron Man, but I don't know. I just thought they could have had a better line, but listen, everybody I know loves that line. So I'm totally in the minority on that, and that's totally fine. All right. Our last question of the day. It comes to us from Justin Davis, who writes in, with a birthday weekend coming up, the big plans, a Lord of the Rings extended edition, nice. Friday through Sunday, going to be a banger. No admittance except on party business. Dude, listen, I take advantage. Ann and I just recently went. I'm going to see if I can find an image or two of it. I'm not sure if I can, but I'll try. Ann and I just recently went to see The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring in concert. And it was awesome. It's been a bit since I've seen Lord of the Rings on the big screen with a big crowd and an audience and stuff. Yeah, it was pretty great. See if I can bring it up here on screen. Yeah. And we had good seats. We were like fourth row. It was amazing. We had these great seats. There's a bit of me and it was in the Peacock Theater. We were in there pretty early. It's the same theater where they do the Game Awards. It was great. And Anne cosplayed. She got dressed up for it. I'll tell you, man, whenever I get an opportunity to watch Lord of the Rings on the big screen, it's a great. And if you've got a local theater that's doing like the whole series, like 3 in a row, that's great. That is great. That's terrific. I hope you have a great time watching it, man. And all right, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, guys, and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to the thousands of you guys in the live chat. It is, as every day, it's always been a huge pleasure reading along with the conversations going on. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. Big thank you to all you guys who sent in the super chats. Number one, because you gave us really fun, interesting things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, don't forget to come back and join me and Rob tomorrow. Me, Rob, and Jonathan will be on tomorrow. We've already got a couple things lined up we're going to talk about. I hope you guys will be back to join us as well. Thank you again to everybody for being here, of course, to the wonderful 3C Films, Chris Parker, Jonathan Voico, and to you guys. That'll do it for me for now, guys. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.